Today we're going to be going over the best new designer fragrance releases, at least up to this point in time right now. We're in the middle of May. So I guess June would be the halfway point of the year, and we're about close enough. So every year goes by, and so with each passing year, we are getting more and more flankers, and they're getting more and more expensive. So it's to the point where you have to be pretty picky and pretty selective about what you're spending your money on, at least as far as new releases go. Because I think at this point, retail a lot of the times is out of the question. You know, it used to be where new designer fragrances would retail for like 80 to 100 bucks pretty consistently. And at that time, that was pretty high. Typically, you'd want to wait for them to hit discounters, but it's not too bad. Look at it now. I mean, $170, $180, $190 for a new release a lot of the times. Or maybe you get lucky and it's $150 or something, but still, it's getting expensive. Now, the flip side of that is a lot of these new releases are hitting discounters ultra fast. A lot of these new releases are hitting discounters before they even hit retail market in the US. So that can help a little bit, but even when they do land on discounters, they're not cheap by any means. So in my opinion, these are the best ones of the year so far. And if you were wanting to splurge on a new release and you wanted to snag one up when they came in on discounters, or even if you were throwing around the idea of making a purchase or two at full retail, I think these would be the best ones that you could put your money into as of right now. So obviously, these aren't all of the new releases that we've had this year. These are just my personal favorite ones so far. We still have another 7 months to go, so I'm hoping we get some more great new ones as well, but we're off to a really good start. All right, let's get things kicked off with Givenchy Gentleman's Society Eau de Parfum Extreme. So also, the names of a lot of these new releases are getting longer and longer as well, as we're getting flankers of flankers at this point. So Gentleman's Society is kind of like a new little spin on the Gentleman line, and now we have a flanker of a flanker. So that's kind of what this one is. Now, this one surprised me in a great way. It's got coffee, orris root, vetiver, and vanilla. It is a phenomenal coffee accord. Now, I tried this one live on camera. You can go back and watch that video whenever it first came out. And just right off that initial spray, I knew that it was something really good and really exciting, because more often than not, when it comes to coffee and fragrances, it can be hit or miss. Sometimes you don't really pick up on it at all, despite it being listed off. Sometimes you pick up on it, but it's very faint. It's not all that rich, and you could almost hardly pass it for a coffee scent. A lot of times things might be advertised as a coffee scent when you just don't pick up on it. So there's a lot of things that can kind of go wrong with that, and it's easy to get your hopes up. But this one, it stays true to that coffee note. It opens up and it smells great. A really nice roasted coffee beans accord, rich and sexy and addicting, mixing with that vanilla and the woods in here, a little bit of iris. This stuff is delicious. So this one did come out in winter time, had a little bit of a chance to wear it, but now obviously we're moving into the warmer times of the year, so this one's going to get shelved for a little while. As we start working our way into fall and winter time, this one's going to be pretty high in my rotation. I can see it now. And this one will probably be having a pretty good placement in either my fall or winter list. It's that good. I really like it. Now, it's kind of one of those deals where you have to be a fan of coffee scents to like this one. If you don't, this might not be all that exciting to you, but I love this type of thing. Next up, we have Acqua di Gio Profondo Parfum. Now, we've got marine notes, we've got orange and some patchouli in here. I love the original Profondo. I think it is incredible. It's a really unique marine scent. This one is taking the parfum approach. So the original is an eau de parfum. This one obviously is a parfum. And so it does have a little bit more of a heavy, kind of slightly rich smokiness to it, where the original Profondo did not have. It's kind of like what Acqua di Gio Profumo is compared to, Acqua di Gio Eau de Parfum or something. And now obviously I understand the Eau de Parfum coincidentally came out years after Profumo, but you get what I'm saying. So whereas Acqua di Gio Eau de Parfum is aromatic and citrusy and aquatic, Profumo / Parfum, Acqua di Gio Parfum, Profumo, whatever, that one is a little bit smokier, heavier, richer, more of a nighttime appeal. That is exactly what Profondo Parfum is to me and kind of how I view it. I would wear the original Profondo during the day, you know, if you're going to school or to work or just out and about, whatever it might be. In the summertime, it's a great daytime scent. But come nighttime, if you're going to be going out for the evening, you can wear Profondo Parfum. It's going to layer perfectly over the original, and it's a bit more appropriate. I just don't really see the original Profondo as something that is, you know, all that indicative of a night out. You know, it's very refreshing. It would be great for a day on the water or at the beach or just during the day in summertime, bright and uplifting. But the Parfum just has an extra layer of richness that would lend itself to be great for a summer evening. A couple small details. One of them is we have a 100 ml bottle. Most of these are 75, 125, 200, but this is a 100, so kind of splitting the difference, which is uncommon for the Aqua de Jo's. The other thing is we have the magnetic cap. It has made a return just for the Parfum. So for all of the other newer releases these days, they're click caps, but they all at one point are, okay, now it's got me second guessing. Essenza and Profumo and those were magnetic cap. I think the original has always been click cap. This is somewhere around there, something to that extent. But at one point they had magnetic, they did away with them. It's back for the Parfum, which is a cool little touch. 100 ml, 130 bucks. In the grand scheme of things, that is not unfair at all for a new designer release coming in at a Parfum. And I think it's great for the intended purpose of just being a nighttime version of the original Profondo. I really like it. Next up, we have Jean Paul Gaultier Paradise Garden. So this one's got green notes, coconut, salt, mint, and fig. I am not the biggest fan of fig or coconut. And so you're probably like, why is this in your video? This is one of your favorite releases of the year so far. And yes, it is. It's surprising, I know. I'm very, very picky about coconut and fig in men's fragrances. If it's too much and if it's not balanced out with other notes, it's going to be too top heavy in that direction and I'm not going to like it. And I have a few fragrances that are like that. And I think it's fig especially is what I'm sensitive to. I just really don't like it unless there's a lot of padding around it, and that's the case here. You know, I listed off those notes. There's many more as well, but there's enough going on to give this one quite a bit of a supplementation compared to those other notes there that I don't really like. And so it kind of distracts from it in a way, and it just comes together to create a really nice composition. I'm a big fan of this. I also really like the original Les Beaux. I really like the Les Parfums. This one is going to be greener and fresher and lighter and more summery than both of those kind of. And both of them are kind of marketed as summer scents. You know, they have the pineapple and all of that stuff. It just kind of the sweetness, and they're, you know, sweeter compared to most summer scents, but they do kind of give off a tropical vacation smell. But this one is a bit more refreshing, and again, it's green, not just the coloration, but the scent itself, a minty green, kind of aromatic smell. Really, really well done. A lot better than I thought it was going to be, and this stuff is just going crazy. It's selling out every time it pops up on discounters, which is why if you want any chance at getting this one, you got to jump on my mailing list and texting list down below. The fact of the matter is, when this one pops up, people are wanting it because you can't even really buy it at retail right now if you wanted to in the US, to the best of my knowledge. It's pretty hard to find. Discounters are about the only way to get it now. And so it sells out quick. If you want to be notified when this and other new releases and other rare fragrances come into stock, jump on down below. Next up, we have Guerlain Eau de Parfum, and it's no surprise that I absolutely love this one. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you guys would probably expect the same if you know anything about my channel, because I have loved essentially the entire lineup since I first got them. Going all the way back to the Eau de Parfum, the Cologne, Cool, Extreme, the newer Platine Privé, they're all incredible. I would say the only ones I really don't like, well, I guess the only one I really don't like a ton is Sport. I have it, it's not my favorite. It's the most worthless one of the lineup. L'Intense, the Eau de Toilette, those are great as well. Sport never really did a whole lot for me, and I'm not the only one to think that either. So this Parfum having an amaretto note definitely caught my attention. So along with that, there's some leather in here too, and of course, almond. It's a boozy take on this DNA which I love, and they haven't done it yet until now. So Extreme has a nice plum and tobacco combination, which makes it really unique, and of course the almond to go along with it. This one just has a nice, rich booziness. Not too strong, not too overbearing, but just enough to make it different and to give it a nice little pop and to make it stand out in a good way. I could also see this one being utilized heavily in my fall and winter rotation. It was kind of brought to market here at a poor time for a lot of us because it's warm outside now, but it didn't take me long to smell this one and give it a few wearings just indoors to realize that I'm loving this stuff. So again, I'm a huge fan of the line. It's super unique. It keeps you on your toes. I mean, these are unlike anything else out there on the market. So definitely excited to have this one out. I think it's going to be probably one of my favorites this year out of everything. Now, this next one is definitely controversial, but for me, it just is something I enjoy. I'm a big fan of the entire lineup pretty much, and things have shifted around for me a little bit, and I'll explain what I mean. It's YSL Y Elixir. So another one that is not cheap by any stretch of the definition, but it's on discounters now, and you can get it, you know, pretty heavily discounted below retail. Still not cheap, but better than nothing. And it hit discounters pretty quickly too. Like I said, it's happening a lot these days, which is helpful. Now, I'm at the point where I'm kind of getting away from the Eau de Parfum just a little bit because I've been wearing the Eau de Parfum Intense a lot, which I absolutely love everything about it. And I've also been wearing the Elixir quite a bit as well. I got it in, and it was just one of those things where I sprayed it, wore it, loved it. Next day, I'm like, okay, I got stuff to do. I need to put something on. I'll grab Y Elixir. And it's just compounding effect. That happens a lot with me. I get hooked on things, especially newer editions that just work well and smell good. And I just keep on wanting to wear it. And that's what happens here with this one. I think it's great. So what's the deal with it? It's confusing to people because it's not as Elixir-ish as some other Elixir releases. It easily gets compared to Sauvage Elixir when there is no comparison. Sauvage Elixir is much heavier, much more spicy, much stronger, a lot more mature. This is not as drastic of a difference, and that's where people get it mixed up. And I'm not blaming people for that either. It makes sense that people would be confused. But the other side of that is, just because one elixir is drastically different doesn't mean all of them are going to be. You know, this isn't the only other elixir release. And if you take a look at some other elixir releases as well, they all aren't necessarily drastically different. I mean, Sauvage Elixir is kind of an extreme example. There is really nothing about that smells like Sauvage. The only thing that ties them together is the name and the bottle. I mean, they are wildly different, and you can't necessarily expect that from everything. That being said, the price is rough. However, I do like it. This one's got geranium, lavender, frankincense, and a bit of oud. Now, the oud is not strong at all. The frankincense, you do pick up on it a little bit. It's giving it a little bit of a smoky bite and texture later on in the dry down, but it's not all that prominent either. Really focuses in on the aromatic side of the Y lineup, and they're just removing a lot of the appley sweetness. For what it's worth, I really enjoy it. Last up for this video, we have Prada Lunar Rosa Ocean Eau de Parfum. Really like the bottle, nice deep red gradient going on there. And again, it's just so bizarre. There's nothing oceanic about any of these, but I guess that's okay. It's got saffron, oak, some amber extreme, which is ambery and kind of woody. The oak is also, of course, woody, and sometimes oak can give off a little bit of a booziness, not a ton. It's almost kind of like it's a byproduct where in a lot of heavier, richer, boozy scents, you kind of get an oak note as well. Take a look at some Killians. Take a look at something random like YSL L'Homme Eau de Parfum, right? Using an oak with that cognac in there, or some sort of boozy note. I think it's a cognac. I can't remember off the top of my head. There's a bitter orange in there as well. So it's like you smell that oak and you might think that there's a little bit of a booziness. Not necessarily the case here, but I do like how it comes across, and it does have a real nice richness and complexity about it that is absent in the original Ocean, but is somewhat present in the Eau de Parfum. So this one is kind of just like the Eau de Parfum, but even more extreme and even more amped up to me. And at this point, if I had to choose a favorite between this and the Eau de Parfum, it would probably come down to being this one. I think it's a fantastic improvement. And of course, compared to the original, there's no question. The original is at the bottom of my list. Yeah, my only, complaint is that the marketing, the branding, ocean, that doesn't make sense. I think it is misguiding people because you might expect something fresh and oceanic when you don't get that. But regardless, if you do want something richer and sweeter, maybe a bit interesting from Prada, this is a great one to go for. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. My current favorite new designer releases so far for 2024. I'll link all these down below to discounters. Like I said, I think pretty much all of these at this point have made it on discounters. In fact, they pretty much all have, except for maybe the new Ocean, but maybe that one has as well. Just because they've landed doesn't mean that they're in stock right now. It's not going to be the case. They're new, they're going to be in and out. But if you want to be notified when they do pop up again, jump on my mailing list and texting list. Hit the link down below, put in your email, or send any text to the number down below and you'll be opted in there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.